So this is a very basic overview of the mechanical systems of a standard four-level low-rise condominium. Starting from the roof, the most important component is the makeup air unit. This unit is responsible for the positive air pressure in the hallways. This not only is an advantage if there is a fire, because the positive pressure creates a safe space for people to exit. It also keeps positive pressure pushing into each of the suites to not only prevent smells and odors coming from the suite, cooking smells and such, but also creates airflow into the suites, which go out the bathroom vents, and that prevents mold or mildew or dead air in the suites. So it's very important that it's operating properly. One way you can tell is walking in the hallways, just putting your hand on the vent. You'll notice that it may be balanced, but there may be a bit more pressure on the fourth floor compared to the first floor. But the best thing to do is to use the roof hatch, get up the ladder, and actually take a look at it, listen to it, and then open up the hatch. Make sure that the unit is turned off. And the three key components are the motor, the fan and the belt, and the filters. So you want to make sure there's no issues with the motor, but the most important part is the belt. And as long as the unit is turned off, you can actually squeeze the top and the part of the bottom of the belt together to see how much slack there is. If there's a lot of slack, that would mean that a HVAC technician would need to be called in to adjust that shim, tighten it up so that it is properly operating and avoiding any damage. And then also, if you notice in the hallways, you'll probably see a bit of black debris on the ceiling in front of the vents. This is a sign that the filters haven't been changed in a timely manner. Rule of thumb is usually every three months changing those filters. Also in the winter and the spring, there's a thermostat on the makeup air unit, and although it's not used to heat the hallways, it is used to just take a little bit of the bite off the winter chill. It runs on natural gas, so if it's running in the summer, be very expensive for gas and also be probably too hot in the hallways. So you can adjust that semi-annually. Going down all the way to the parkade are the parkade fans, which are exhaust fans and intake fans. That regulates the air in the parkade, and they're run off of the carbon monoxide detectors, which you'll see attached to a pillar in the parkade. If those are operating properly, when the carbon monoxide gets to a certain level, it'll turn those fans on and get some fresh air in and get the carbon monoxide out of the parkade. You want to be checking those fans to make sure there's no loud squeals or that the belts are too loose, and that can be visually inspected when the fans are not operating, but the best thing to do is to get them on and just listen to them when you're in the parkade. There's a very good chance if you're there in the morning when there's lots of cars, the fans will be turning on. The next thing are the sump pumps, and those are located all throughout the parkade, and those regulate the storm and the sanitary water of the parkade and the perimeter of the building. If the pumps are not operating properly, you'll hear an alarm. And that could mean that a float is stuck or a pump needs to be replaced. But generally they operate on their own. The most important thing you'll need to listen up for is when you hear a very loud constant beep in the parkade. That would mean that there's a high level alarm on that system and there's a problem and a pump technician needs to be called in. Most importantly now would be the boilers and the boiler supply tanks. So there's two different setups. There's a boiler with storage tanks, and a boiler would be a large unit that heats the water and then puts it into the storage tanks. Another style are boiler and tank combinations. So just like the boilers, just like the tanks you'd see in your residential home, these are just a more economical way to get the water heated. What you want to be checking there for is, if there is an issue, you'll probably get a call from someone in the building who's complaining there's not enough hot water. Go into the mechanical room and check for leaks, check temperatures. Those are sometimes signs you can catch before there's a big issue. Next thing and final thing would be the booster pumps. A lot of the bigger condos require booster pumps that push water to all corners of the building, and they're set up vertically with a motor and a pump. You want to be checking pressure and checking for any leaks on those as well. And that is a basic overview of the mechanical systems of a low-rise condominium.